Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you. I want to speak in two parts today. I know the story was partly entitled The Future of Money, but the reality is that the fact that Cryptopia is here and speaking, and we have about 100 employees, is actually will segue into the future of money or no money in this crypto space, or in fact we wouldn't exist. So I'll just run through. I've got a death by PowerPoint for you, but I'll try not to read off the screen. You're quite capable of doing that. Except it's not working, is it? Okay. Are you really sorry, or just? There we go. So look, we are. I'm going to do the show of hands thing just to make sure we're all in touch with you. Who's heard of Cryptopia in Christchurch? Wow, everybody. That's why you're here. Okay. Has anyone actually traded cryptocurrencies recently? So if you look around, there's a few, but not too many. Who would trade more if you thought it was a safe place to be? Is that a bit uncertain? Okay, so it looks like it's a place we're going. You've heard of us, and we could head there. Look, Cryptopia is, as it says there, we're one of the top 10% of global crypto exchanges. That varies between 170 odd and 200 and a few bit more. There's some big ones and small ones. And we're there because we are good at what we do. And we've got a lot of coins on our site. Some of the most obvious things are our average trade. We trade quite a bit of daily volume, which is pretty big. At one point, we were turning over more daily than the New Zealand Stock Exchange. Those, I can talk about those times a little bit later. The number of coins on our site is important. Some of the sites globally have the top 10 coins, or a few. We're known to have the largest number of coins on the site. And they'll be from the very top traded coins down to the most esoteric, interesting coins that you'll go, what's that for? And there's some interesting questions to be asked about the future of some of those coins and what they mean to the market. And one of the, we believe, but people tell us we are those things on the bottom. We're trusted. We're from New Zealand. People trust our business model down here. They trust the regulators. They trust that we all know each other. You can't do too much wrong in New Zealand without being jumped on by somebody or being found out. So trusted is important, particularly in this game where it's unregulated. We're fully funded. We don't borrow money. We didn't need partners. And it's a growing exchange worldwide. We now have 100 odd employees. I'll give you some stats later. And we're moving buildings soon, and it's really the Silicon Valley of New Zealand, Christchurch. We're dragging people in and using up we're trying to grab everyone good around us. That's a bit of a struggle. The founders, it's a good story. The founders are Christchurch-based. A couple of young fellas, not so young, Rob Dawson and Adam Clark got together in a room not so long ago, and they sat there, and it's a rather long story we can't go into here, but they collaborated about a dream of building some tools and getting into this crypto exchange business. And after a wee while, what happens is they either need some support, that'll be business support around what they're doing, or they need some funding, or they need to just pay the rent while they get on and do it. And they brought in a collaboration team that they were using some offices for a company called Intranel, who have been a little bit in the blockchain space. So it was a good partnership. The two founders kept beavering away at their dream, and they wanted to achieve this goal that they have, and Intranel supported them to where we are today. The company was incorporated in 2014. We've done a few things, but it looks much the same. It's just much, much bigger with 100 employees. And there's a team of about 10 or so in the UK. We have an office up there, which is primarily about supporting our business offering in another time zone. There's also some international, having a business that looks like us somewhere else in the world helps us as we move further down the road dealing with regulators and bankers. So it's fast growth, 100 employees. A lot of companies can do that, but they generally do it in the sales sector. We've done it entirely in the tech sector. So trying to get 100 people that are all really smart, singing the same song, heading in the right direction, all with the same dream, in 1 year is a big old ask of anybody. And it's a big ask of two guys who started not quite knowing where they're going, so they need a lot of support. And I've got to say, if they didn't do that well back then with their dream, then we wouldn't be here today. So, thanks to them and good work. We've got some big goals. Our goals, I say global. Well, we are global. Only about 2% of our trade is New Zealand-based. The rest is the world. I can show you some stats soon. And that's what you would expect in this space, nothing more than that. Are we a fintech company? Who knows what? We're not a traditional fintech company, but with regard to trading and the bit space, blockchain, we probably have to think about what fintech looks like in the future. Is it banking traditionally? It's not banking as we know it today, but in reality, I'd be very surprised if anyone here has used a checkbook in the last year or gone into a bank with, unless you own a dairy, put your cash over the counter and got a receipt. We're pretty much a digital banking business anyway globally. Everything's your phone or your credit card. Everything's digital in some ledger form. So, it's how far away are we from banking? I'm not quite sure yet. And what we do is we partner, form JVs. We want to be a really big thing for New Zealand Inc., not just for us. There's enough credibility in New Zealand when we do tech development to take it to the world. And this is a pretty big deal for us. The rest of the world is looking in at all of their blockchain and coin space, and most of them are complaining, the regulators, and saying, we're a bit afraid, we don't know what to do, so we're going to regulate the heck out of you. In New Zealand, there's a slightly different approach, is that we feel the same pain, but we know that regulation will stifle growth, and we're not willing to do that. So some of our team, in particular our general manager, he's been working quite closely with the regulators and talking to them, and we've been talking with all the people we should at that level to say, we know you don't know what we should be doing, and we're not quite sure what to do, but let's play it safe, and let's be ethical and upfront and try and get to a point where we know what regulation looks like. But until then, we've got to continue trading to create awareness and confidence in the markets and find use cases. If we don't have use cases for the blockchain, which there are plenty, or use cases for coins or cryptocurrency in whatever form they are, then this will go nowhere. So that's where we're at pretty much now. Look what happened in January 2017. I'm sorry if that's a bit small for you to read. That says 26,000 odd, 25,000 users. These are registered users. Now, of course, we all know registered users aren't necessarily engaged every day. They've come to the site, they've registered, they want to be engaged, they're having a look at us. And then as we go through to November 17, something happened. And that was just a global awareness of Bitcoin primarily. But of course, all the enthusiasts who followed other coins, we know them by another term, I probably won't say it here. And those coins also followed the big rush of Bitcoin. So we have the very high level stuff, people that trade a lot of money and a lot of coin, then we have those interesting coins down the bottom. It all moves together and they'll find their own space. And then of course, look at December and January. Now, two things happened. Bitcoin awareness, the price went up astronomically. Some of you, I won't ask you to put your hand up, some of you probably went, I'm into this, and you're probably still sitting there fizzing about it, unless you got out at the right time. But, hang in there. It's not going away. And of course, now we're around about 2.2 million registered people. A good deal of those, it's a very high percentage actually for this type of account that trade as well. So they're registered and they trade. And we're continuing to grow. Fortunately, not at that rate. Now, one of the issues with this growth is how to deal with a small tech company in Christchurch. Where do you get all the people that are needed between October and December? Of course, if that starts in October and November, you go, this is really good, I like this. And it's not till you get to January and February you go, oops, hey, we've got some things to deal with. We don't have enough people on the help desk. We don't have enough technology. We don't have enough corporate thinking about where this is going. But, the door's open, the horse is bolted. So it's catch up now. And the problem with that is that catching up was always late as far as your consumers go. They look in and go, you've let us down. Well, you could never have predicted this. There aren't many businesses globally where you see this type of growth, where you can predict that sort of curve, or you'd be prepared for it. So it was just, the crypto space, the bursting up of the value or perceived value in Bitcoin led us to this. But what it did do, it meant that a small company with some very dedicated, sharp people were able to focus and move very quickly to get where they wanted to go. And the fact that we're here now, out the other end of that, and we're bigger and stronger, we feel as ethical, we're delivering the same service, and we're still growing, means we got through it. So we had to develop new methods, put new software in, train people like crazy, and still understand where we were going. That's about where we are today in terms of users. There you can see our revenues, where they come from. They come from the United States, and primarily, they come from everywhere. But the reason that's so dominant, it's a very large captive audience. They have been learning about crypto, and there's a lot more noise going on there than anywhere else usually. There's more people. and they've got money to spend. The problem with that is it's also the toughest regulatory market. So if somebody over there decides to tweet something that's unbecoming to the crypto market, it reverberates around the world. So we have to be very conscious as we're developing our methods, our trading models and our platforms, the software, that we're conscious about what the regulators are doing. And here's the issue. We're in a company here with 100 employees, lots of revenue, we're responsible for lots of things, and we don't really know what regulators are planning. We don't even know if the banks want to deal with this, or if people really want to trade. But like, hey, will you trade if it was better? You might do, might not. So it's a strange place to be for any small business. Most of you have a business where you can predict and look at your customer growth. And you can say, well, I know what I sell. I make a widget, I sell to them. It's going to be this big in 2 years. I'll plan for it. We struggle to do that. So the American dollars are very important to us. This is what Cryptopia looks like. There's a lot of people in there. Some of you are already in software and some of you aren't. So it's huge. 100 people all have very specific vertical job, but they all have to work together and really, really closely because it's software. And if we don't get it right, then this bit's not connecting to that bit and it all stops. It doesn't matter how good 90% is. If 10%'s wrong, it isn't going to happen. So, the people and culture. It is astonishing how important people and culture is once you get above a certain size. If you don't get that right, you've got a little silo over there talking and whispering and somebody gets the wrong idea and it turns personal or it turns corporate, it just goes wrong. Very, very important to get that right at this early stage. Security, there's a number of security issues. The targets for the hackers of the world have to be platforms like this. I'm going to get some free money, boy am I going after you. So what we can't do is say, we haven't been hacked or we're pretty good or we're strong. That's an invitation for disaster. It's like putting a flag up, come and get me. So we're very careful about that. And we also have physical security. People can't come in, get in the door. It's a bit like a bank. Marketing team is fairly new. This company's been built organically for quite a long time, meaning that the two founders did a fantastic job of their social enterprise, about going out there in the social media space and talking it up. And it's a very obvious place where the word gets around quickly if you've got a good or a bad product. So they did an amazing job of growing that initial stage. But the model is changing. And with regulators coming at us, the model is beginning to point more towards the fact that you might have to move towards banking regulations or fintech regulations. That means that early method of marketing is not suiting the new customers, the more corporate bodies. Development teams, development operations, infrastructure, you can see all that. All of that stuff is required to make this work, and it's a never-ending fight for stealing all your best engineers. So if you're out there, look out, we're coming after you. The current market, what's it going to do? Well, as institutional capital starts to get involved, which it is now, we get calls and emails and things regularly saying, hey, do you need investment? Can we buy you out? Can we buy New Zealand? What can we do? How do we get into the space? All over the world, there are dreamers and weavers, and they're coming up with ideas to get into this space. It's probably a bit late to go and buy Bitcoin and make a lot of money quickly, but it's not too late to get into blockchain and cryptocurrencies for a corporate. And the banks and the fintech organisations are aware that they can no longer just watch us from the side and say, don't worry about it. They'll never get regulated, because it's just part of human nature. We'll get there. It's like the first car with a flag in front of it. Don't worry about that flag and look at us now. It's the same thing. Humans are like that. ICOs, they will professionalise. You've all seen ICOs and great stories in New Zealand and outside New Zealand. Hey, quick, jump on one, make some money. Let's invent a coin. Some of those coins are badly done. They're just for getting that person rich, and off goes your money. Some of them are great ideas, but their ideas evolved out of some empathy that person has for his favourite subject. It may not be well-founded in business and management and structure and finance and all the other things that you need those 100 people for. So they disappear. So a few good ICOs have raised a lot of money. In New Zealand, we've seen it. A company in Auckland, 100 million their odds. Regulators that take a firm stance on ICOs, they're beginning to do that already. So in America in particular, they're taking a firm stance on what is a security, what is a token, what is a coin, what do they mean to you, the consumer, and how should we be responsible for looking after it for you, like a stock exchange. If I list something, am I therefore responsible for your well-being in that space, or is it your risk? And that's part of regulatory control. That's what regulators do. They make us responsible. So in order to be responsible, we need to understand what the regulations are, and there are none. So we need to be conscious of that while we start to deliver what the new platform looks like. Concerns around scalability and performance, well look, that's all about growing any business. You do that whether you've got a taxi company and you buy a new car and it's electric, or a software company and you're building infrastructure. We have to host somewhere. Look, for our business, the hackers want us. Where you're hosting, who you're employing, the vetting, even mobile devices coming in and out of the building. A massive, massive headache for those in charge of security, from the security ops people right down through the programmers and what they do every day. So, where are we going with crypto? Well, there's researchandmarket.com. If you've been to their site, they've got lots of data, and they're saying this sort of stuff. Like, look at it. It's just monster. I'm teaching to the converted here. That's why you're in the room. But these facts, when you go out there and search the Google net, they're everywhere, and it's all talking up. There's a few bad stories, but most of it's about increased revenue, increased opportunity. People are becoming comfortable. ATMs, why did we focus on that? ATMs is one of the easiest methods that consumers in the high street, see for getting attached to a crypto. They go, how do you get it? Now, if we go and talk to someone who's not familiar with crypto and we say, do you deal in cryptocurrency? You say Bitcoin. Bitcoin. It's a bit like when we used to say we're going to Hoover, meaning that one of 10 vacuum cleaners. It's, Bitcoin is crypto to them. So how do you see that in the high street? Probably an ATM or a flag somewhere. So I believe, and a number of others like me believe, that ATMs for getting fiat off and on to the crypto space are probably going to start to emerge. There's already 6 or 7 in New Zealand that we know of, and in other countries, they're massive. Bitcoin-friendly countries, it's a bit of an enigma, that one. It can be friendly, but in what sense? That means they're not regulating them away, or they're creating regulations that allow you to trade, or actually they're doing something about, at a government level, to use blockchain in another space, like security or passport management. And of course, as soon as you've got blockchain there, that's nearly an acceptance that the blockchain space, they're comfortable with that, and it's nearly a segue into, well, where do cryptocurrencies and fintech and things fit on the back? Not quite, but it's getting close to that. They're quite tied together. So we're seeing countries every day start to evolve little sectors of their government who are picking up the idea and go, you know what, we can't be left behind. So we're at this really interesting space globally, where it's such a brand new product. It's like the invention of the aeroplane. Who knows quite where yet, but everyone's going to be engaged quite soon. Some trends for New Zealanders in particular. 1.5 million shopped online in 2017. That's quite a lot. The big number is 3.2 billion spent online shopping. And the reason I go for online is that in the crypto space, nearly everything's online. You don't go down to the garage yet and buy your car with Bitcoin, a bag of Bitcoin. Well, not that you can put it in a bag, but you get the analogy there. So saying that, I was in the States a few months ago and did go into a few car dealers and said, has anyone ever tried to buy a car? It was Tesla. And they went, as a matter of fact, yes. And did they do it? No, we don't know how to do that. Surely you would do something about that. What is Bitcoin? And we started this conversation with a young guy in his 20s who's selling, a very expensive card. And that's the gap. That's the gap between who we are here talking about the opportunity and people who are in the right space to pick up on that opportunity. I imagine there are people with cryptocurrencies who are the buyer for a Tesla. They've got that spare money that they probably earned somehow that's not part of their mortgage payments. They're the people that those guys should be targeting. You can buy your Tesla with. I don't think it's go to the dairy and buy your loaf of bread yet, or your milk. We're not there until it moves to mobile. Growth in online spending, physical goods, up 13%. This is all about how we trade these days. Everything is digital, everything is ledger-based, everything is mobile-based. Biggest near-term threat to cash will probably come from mobile payments, and I think this leads very comfortably into the crypto space. And because we already nearly do everything with our mobile. Recently in Asia, I was out with some young people, never even, one bunch never had a bank account. Their company has their bank account. Their money goes from their pay into the company bank account, a ledger in their name, which sits in their phone. And if they want to buy a television or pay for their flat, because they've got a long-term job, they simply tell the company. And the company have got buying power with 11,000 employees. They just give them a TV and take it off their pay. What a fantastic idea. If this isn't, it's not crypto per se, but it's cryptography, it's the ledger, it's heading into the space where we're just not using money anymore. So moneyless coming up, guaranteed. But who carries money? We carry it for milk or an ice cream or something. I'd be very surprised if nearly everyone will have a credit card. It's just digital in a different form. So how far away are we from, in fact, going fully digital? Bitcoin legal position, well, who knows? There are Asian countries that are saying, we're good to go, and then next week something will change and their legislators will come in and bin Bitcoin or bin the company. I won't read all that death by PowerPoint for you, it's boring. So we made a bit of a statement a little time ago, I won't read that for you, you can all read. So that's Cryptopia, a fantastic story for Christchurch and a fantastic story for the two boys that started it, Adam Clark and Rob Dawson. And now we have a new director related to those boys to support them and help run the company. The company now has a good middle suite of management in there. It looks very, very different, but we're moving ahead at a great pace. We're moving to a new building soon, so we're already too big for where we are. That's me. I'm the CEO. I've only been there a short while. Don't ask me anything too technical. I'm not a coder. I don't program stuff, but I can probably run the company okay.
Thank you.